Welcome to Inside the Itinerary. Today we're talking about South Africa and Zimbabwe, especially where trips can go wrong. Let's welcome luxury travel advisor Amarjit Keshav. Let's jump right in. Hey, Amarjit.
Hey, how are you?
Great, thanks. So tell me, what do you think is the most common mistake that even experienced travel advisors and travelers make when planning trips to South Africa and Zimbabwe?
The biggest mistake is logistics. Knowing which way to fly, how to do the itinerary, so that there's not long transfers. You have to be aware of the timings, and then picking the correct route to get from A to B. It has to be clean. It makes a big difference as to how you do that and basic logistics.
Okay, so South Africa, Zimbabwe, we want to plan a trip. What is the ideal workflow and routing?
The ideal flow would be to fly from the US into Cape Town, spend 3 or 4 days there, depending on what your client's needs are. From there, fly and do the safari, which would be Kruger, the Greater Kruger National Park, Sabi Sands area. And I suggest that because there's less, I won't say less tourism, but fewer vehicles, so you have a better chance of seeing the animals. From there, you probably only need 3 days. Now, if your client is willing to stay longer, that's great. I'd do an extra day there. From there, fly to Victoria Falls into Zimbabwe. If you're going as far as South Africa, you do not want to miss Victoria Falls. And then
Okay.
from there to Johannesburg, and then fly home.
Okay, great. So you've done a lot of these trips yourself. You've taken a lot of groups.
Yes.
What's one splurge that you have experienced that genuinely transforms the trip?
The nicer lodges, you have to splurge on that. And one of the things that we did was we went to the Palm Hotel in Victoria Falls. The first time we had done just a regular lodge, and it was great. Service was fantastic. But the next time we were in the Palm, and it was just absolutely incredible. The elephants you're eating dinner and the elephants walk through the grounds. You don't have to go anywhere because it's right there on the Zambezi. So the experience is amazing, and then do a theme park, a game park, where it is less crowded. You don't want to go where there's 10, 12 vehicles all at the same time
Right.
because you're not going to see the same thing. So that's what
Okay.
I would splurge on.
Okay, great. So here's a sort of a mirror image of that question. What's something people, your guests, have decided to splurge on in the past that you just wish they wouldn't because it's not really worth it?
Having the additional days, some people want to go for 2 weeks, and it's like you don't have to do that because there's two game drives every day when you're in the game park, very early in the morning and one in the afternoon. Now, you don't want to do that for 5 days. So I would do less days, like 3 days is plenty. And even with 3 days, people will say, well, I don't want to go this morning. I just want to lay in. So be aware of that when you're planning your itinerary with clients. And I think just picking the right destination makes a difference. You don't have to go to a place that's like Atlantic City. You can do it calm. Again, qualifying your client makes a big difference.
Yeah, let's talk about qualifying the client. What types of clients is a trip to South Africa and Zimbabwe good for?
There's different ways, right? So if they're looking for value, you can have those clients as well. But again, when somebody is looking for South Africa, they're a little bit older, they've got a little bit more money, and it's a destination that they've never been to. So they want to go with a really good travel agent, and then the travel agent needs to have a really good, DMC tour operator that they know that they can trust, right? So That is key, but you've got to look at your luxury client. Luxury can be a lot of different things. I mean, you can stay in a tent and it could still be luxury. So really know what your client's needs are, and then it's up to you as the experienced advisor to let them know, look, if you're going this far, just add this extension, because they may not go back to Africa. So you want to be able to tell them, okay, here's my suggestion, and then go with whatever they want. If they are more of a value client, there's still lodges that are 4-star that are affordable. Or if they're your ultimate luxury Fairmont kind of client, then go with the ultra luxury lodges.
Is there a type of client that is literally just never a good fit for these destinations?
I don't think so. I don't think so. You're always going to get a client that's going to complain about maybe the room being too small. But I've taken groups of like 20, 21, 17 on one group. And I only had one complaint that one of the rooms was too small.
I
But
want to get back.
everything else is great.
Great. I want to get back for a moment to the style of lodge because you mentioned that that's probably the biggest differentiator in what makes a great trip. And you mentioned that a great lodge is close to the game, is not in a super crowded area of the region of the park. Um, are there, first of all, did I understand that correctly? And are there other criteria that we should be looking for when we are trying to pick a lodge?
So when you're picking a lodge, let's say in the Greater Kruger area, pick one that's out on the outside. Everybody thinks of Kruger and they want to go right in the center of Kruger, and that's a very touristy area. But when you look at Greater Kruger, there's so many game reserves, and we saw we saw everything. I mean, every game drive there were animals to see. We even got to see, a kill. And I mean, you think, oh my goodness, but the chase is just the adrenaline starts to rush, and it's absolutely incredible seeing them in their own environment. So, it is key where you pick for where they're going to stay. And the biggest thing I can advise is go on the fam trips. Look at the clients that you can qualify for these type of trips, and then sell it because it's a wonderful destination.
And let's talk again about the ideal number of days. You mentioned 2 weeks might be too long, but when we're talking about combining South Africa and Victoria Falls, what's the ideal number of days in each destination?
I would say 10, 10 days at least. That's the way I would do it. It's
Altogether, or 10 in each destination?
no, so each, like Cape Town, I would do three. 3 in Kruger, and I would do 2 in Victoria Falls.
Okay.
You
And
know,
now Victoria Falls, that's Zimbabwe. Tell me about what there is to do in Victoria Falls and in Zimbabwe in general, because Zimbabwe is not just Victoria Falls.
no, so the logistics there, the airport is very small. So one thing you have to be aware of when you're flying into Vic Falls is the time it takes, because everything is handwritten right now. It's not, the computers are not in there. So you be prepared for a long wait. Don't get frustrated. It's not America. It is part of Africa. So you just have to pack your patience with you. When you get into Victoria Falls, the lodges are, 10 minutes away. It's not very far. The things to do there, the village is really nice in Victoria Falls. You can go and do a tour of the falls. There's an elephant sanctuary where you actually get to walk with the elephants with the guides, and that's an incredible experience. There's so many places to visit. Like 3 days for me was like great, but we were kept busy. And one of the things that I would absolutely recommend there is to go and do the helicopter ride over the Victoria Falls. We were looking at it like, oh, should we do it? Maybe not, but that was one of the best things I've done, and you see the falls from up high, absolutely incredible.
Right.
And then for me, I do travel with a purpose whenever I go to Africa. There is an orphanage there that you can visit if you want to put that in as part of the tour for your guests. And for that, I would have an additional day at Vic Falls. Yeah, because this school is absolutely incredible. And, you find your purpose basically, is what I would say to every travel advisor. You're taking people into this country, have your clients as well as yourself, give back.
Great. Is there a best time to go? And conversely, is there a not a best time to go?
I would really go on off peak, because you're going to have less crowds. Victoria Falls can be very crowded, and when the falls are in full flow, then you're going to hardly see the falls because of the mist. It's so heavy, and you're not going to see it. So the times that I've gone and it's been great is September and November. Those are the two times I've gone. But you are able to go. Really, Africa has great weather, except when it's raining.
Okay, great.
You want to stay in.
Great. So if you had to say the biggest don't do this in one line, what would the biggest don't do this be?
Don't overpack your itinerary.
Talk to me
Uh,
more about that.
so people will say, okay, you want to do like in one day. The biggest shock that advisors and clients get is Cape Town. They don't expect Cape Town to be as advanced as it is because you're still in part of Africa. So when they see that city, you've got the winelands in Stellenbosch, you've got Robben Island. There's so much to do there, and I wouldn't pack it in one day because you get exhausted. By the time you get to the hotel, you're just ready to sleep. And Cape Town is a place where you can walk around, find Michelin star restaurants. You want to have that experience as well. So, when you're looking at the itinerary again, give people a half day tour, instead of every day being a full day tour. Don't do that. Give them a half day tour, then give them the afternoon and evening to walk around the V&A waterfront where they can find their own restaurant, shop, and then the next day do the wineries.
Okay, great.
Just overdoing it is not a good idea.
Great. Great. Well, Emergy, thank you so much for chatting with me and our audience today. If anyone would like to contact either Emergy or myself, our contact information is in and on the video. And until next time, safe and happy travels, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks, Emergy.
Bye.
Bye.